The collective had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 cycles. Their empire stretched across 47 star systems, each species catalogued, studied, and assigned its role in the grand design. The Velkari served as administrators, the Thoraxians as enforcers, and the crystalline HFY as computational nodes in the vast network that bound them all. Then they discovered Earth. Ambassador Jaren remembered the day clearly. She had been young then, barely past her third molt, assigned to the observation post monitoring the primitive planet. The humans had just achieved basic fusion propulsion, centuries behind schedule according to collective projections. She had expected decades of routine surveillance. Instead, she found Ethan. The human child had wandered away from his family's agricultural dome on Mars Colony 7. Standard protocol demanded non-interference, but the boy had stumbled into a crater field during a dust storm, his oxygen supply dwindling. Jaren had violated 17 regulations when she transported him to her cloaked ship. He hadn't screamed or panicked when he saw her chitinous form, her forearms, her compound eyes. Instead, he had smiled. "You're beautiful," the 8-year-old had said, his words translated through her neural interface, like a princess from the old stories. Jaren had tended to his minor injuries, given him nutrient paste that wouldn't harm his biology, and listened as he chattered about his dreams. He wanted to be an explorer, to see the stars, to make friends with aliens. His enthusiasm had been unsettling. The collective's psychological profiles indicated humans should respond to first contact with fear or aggression. Before she returned him to his colony, Ethan had grabbed her lowest right hand with both of his small ones. "When I grow up," he had declared with the absolute certainty only children possess, "I'm going to marry you. Then we can explore the galaxy together." Jaren had hummed the Velkari equivalent of laughter. Human and Velkari biology are incompatible for bonding. "Young one?" "Then I'll change the rules," Ethan had said simply. She had filed the incident report, including the minor violation of first contact protocols. The collective's response had been swift. Earth would be quarantined for another century while they matured. Jaren had been reassigned to the outer colonies, her promising career derailed by one impulsive act of compassion. That should have been the end of it. 15 cycles later, Jaren served as a mid-level administrator on Collective Station Tertius when the impossible happened. A human vessel, sleek, powerful, and broadcasting diplomatic credentials, requested docking permission. "Impossible," High Arbiter Kulvan declared. "Earth remains under quarantine." They shouldn't have achieved FTL for at least 80 cycles. But the ship was real, and its captain was requesting an audience with Ambassador Jaren specifically. She met him in the diplomatic bay, surrounded by a dozen armed Thoraxian guards. The human who stepped off the ship was tall, confident, wearing a uniform that somehow blended military precision with casual elegance. But his eyes, those same bright, curious eyes, were unmistakable. "Hello, Jaren," Ethan said, his translator now a discreet neural implant. "I told you I'd come back." The collective's leadership convened an emergency session. Humanity had achieved in 15 years what took most species centuries. They had reverse-engineered Velkari technology from the trace elements Jaren's ship had left behind, developed their own FTL drives, and built a fleet. But they hadn't come for conquest, they had come to talk. The collective operates on a principle of hierarchy, Ethan explained to the assembled council. Each species has its place, its function. But humans, we don't do well with limitations. "You threaten us," Kulvan demanded. "No," Ethan smiled. "We're offering partnership." True partnership. Not the kind where you assign us a role, but the kind where we choose our own path, together. He presented his credentials. Advanced terraforming techniques the collective lacked, medical breakthroughs that could extend Velkari lifespans by double, artistic and cultural innovations that made even the stoic HFY resonate with interest. But most importantly, he presented a ring. "Ambassador Jaren," Ethan said, turning to face her directly. "I've spent 15 years becoming worthy of the promise I made. I've studied your culture, learned your laws, and yes, even found a way to make our biology compatible." He held up a small vial containing a shimmering liquid, nanite symbiosis. "It won't change who we are, but it will let us choose to be together if you want that." The council chamber fell silent. In 3,000 cycles, no one had ever challenged collective protocol this way. Marriages between species were regulated, arranged, approved through proper channels. Jaren looked at the ring, a band of earth gold interlaced with Velkari. Crystal silk, illegal, unprecedented, perfect. You changed the rules, she said. Softly, I told you I would. She extended her, and the collective could have refused. They could have ejected the humans, maintained their quarantine, preserved their ancient order, but they saw something in that moment that their 3,000 cycles of empire had never shown them: the possibility of choice. Humanity joined the collective not as subjects, but as equals. And Ambassador Jaren married Captain Ethan Morrison in a ceremony that blended the traditions of two worlds, witnessed by representatives from 47 star systems. Later, in the privacy of their quarters, Ethan asked, "Do you think they'll ever forgive us for disrupting their perfect order?" Jaren hummed her laughter, the sound Ethan had learned to love. "Young one, we didn't disrupt their order. We showed them something better." "What's that?" "That promises matter. That individual choice matters. That love, even between a human and a Velkari, matters more than any empire's grand design." Ethan pulled her close, marveling at how the nanites made their differences complement rather than divide. "Humanity, yeah?" She touched his face with gentle precision. "Humanity, yes, and perhaps something more. Together." Outside their window, human and collective ships flew in formation, beginning their first joint exploration mission. The boy who wouldn't accept limitations had become the man who changed the galaxy, not through conquest or force, but through the simple, stubborn human belief that impossible just meant, not yet. After all, he had made a promise.